Ladies and gentlemen, the class of '92. You haven't changed a bit. I'm not going to lie. Okay, you've changed a little bit. So welcome back, the six of you together. It's amazing to see you. As a fan, we're all just delighted to see you all back in one group. Let's just get straight to it. David, how often do you get back together as a group of six?
Actually, obviously, because we're all busy doing other things, but we try to get back together and to see each other as much as possible. And it's always the same, you know. Even if we don't see each other for 6 months, you know, it's always the same banter when we come back together, and it's like back in the day. So it's always nice.
Does it feel like home when you come back to Old Trafford?
Of course, you know, we all, obviously, these guys grew up here, and obviously I moved here when I was 16 and spent, you know, my best footballing years here, and, you know, it was my dream to play for United, so to be here for the amount of time that I was, and to be successful and to spend, obviously, those years with these guys, doing what we loved, it was a special time.
And it is like a family, isn't it, the club? Have you seen a few familiar faces?
It is, and that's what I always say about coming back to Old Trafford. You know, I don't come back too often, obviously living in London and busy myself, but when I do come back, United's always been a family. And, you know, you walk the corridors and you see people that have worked here for 20, 30 years, and nothing changes, and that's what's so special about this club.
They say the same about you as well. And I know you've been round to a few of your old haunts. You've been in the dressing room. You've just been round the pitch. Paul, it must bring back so many memories.
Yeah, it does. A lot of good memories. You know, you don't get to go in the dressing room, obviously, as you come back working here. But no, it's been great having a look round, sitting in the places where we used to sit in the dressing room. Loads of very good memories, as David said. Yeah, some great years we had here. Winning trophies obviously was the most special thing about it. Some, you know, great performances, some not so great performances. As we said, sometimes you probably remember the bad ones more than the ones you enjoyed the most. But that's just the way it is. It's great to be back, and as David said, walking through here, you know, looking at all the things you used to see when you was a player, it brings back great memories.
Yeah, and you are a brand now. You are a unit, the class of '92. David, what's it like to have you six recognised in a shoe, 1992, and this kit coming back up? What are you giggling about? Let's get this up. Nicky Butt, is it you again? Are you causing trouble?
No, I'm just laughing.
Some things never change.
Yeah, that's it.
So what's it like to have you as a group honoured in a shoe?
Of course, it's always nice to be recognised for what we've done and what we've loved doing for a long time. But obviously, we wouldn't be successful without the players that we had when we first came into the team. Obviously, Giggsy came into the team a lot earlier than we did, but when we came into the team, we had the support of Roy Keane, Ryan Robson, Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Mark Hughes, all these great players that, Eric Cantona, that we all looked up to and we was all able to learn from. So, to be able to be in the same team as them and to be successful with them, we wouldn't be successful without, the manager, the team, teammates and fans. So we were very lucky.
But you do hold, obviously, a special place in the United fans' hearts. Local lads, United fans, and now 1992 is written on a trainer. Gary, have you done any of the design work for these trainers?
Oh. Does it look like it? No, not really.
What's your favourite part of the shoe? Talk about the shoes.
The red.
The red. Gary Neville is the red.
No, on the free. Sorry. No, I think. No, it's good. It's good. I think that you can sit here and say our time is over, but also I think that you look at the lads that are still playing in the first team, sort of McTominay, Rashford, Lingard, and the record that's been broken of sort of the consecutive games for youth team players. It's important that United continue to tell the story of youth, and particularly in a time where it's more difficult for young players to break into the first team. So I don't think we should let it the candle burn out, because ultimately we need to keep reminding people of the importance of producing young players and local players who love the club, who've grown up loving clubs. And whether it's us or whether it's even Tottenham, and you respect what they're doing at the moment, or Southampton or other clubs that produce a lot of young players, it's fantastic to see, and the fans can connect with them.
Yeah.
And the trainers.
And the trainers. And it's not, I mean, the youth system didn't start with you guys. United have got a strong heritage, 80 years of bringing through youth through the academy, and obviously it goes back to the days at the Cliff. You all went back to do some filming back at the Cliff. We've seen a bit of it now. What was it like getting back together? Was it just, what was it like going back to the Cliff?
Well, me and Nikki actually go back twice a week because our kids are in the academy, so we go back quite often, and obviously Nikki's still here with the academy. But no, when you go back as a group, it's always special because that's where we spent most of our youth. Mm-hmm. You know, from leaving school, then going and being an apprentice, and so many happy memories. And like Beck says, it wasn't just us, it was the likes of senior heroes for the first time, walking into that canteen, sat 2 tables away from Mark Hughes and Brian Robson, players who were your heroes, and there you are having sausage and mash. It wasn't pasta in them days. Sausage and mash and chocolate pudding and sauce. And just, that's what it was like. It was the biggest club in the world, but also that family atmosphere.
But your experience at the Cliff must be quite different to your son's experiences. That things have changed quite a lot since you were academy youths.
Not changed a lot, actually, have they? No. Need to spend a few more bob on it. But no, I think that's the great thing about the Cliff. You can just, when you go through them gates, you can just feel the history, and just so many great players have played on the grass and on the indoor pitch. And like I say, it's where we spent most of our youth.
And it's been 25 years now since you made your debut, Nikki, almost to the day. Does it make you feel old?
It does, yeah. I think Beck's touched on it before in an interview. It goes so quick. I remember Steve Bruce saying to us when we was probably about 17, enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Enjoy every minute of it because it'll be gone like that, and you're thinking, yeah, whatever. I'm only next 17. I've got the world ahead of me, and he's dead right because we're sat here now, 25 years later, and it's went really quick. But
what do you remember about your debut?
I actually don't remember it that much. I don't.
How did you find out you were in the team?
The manager said to me, "Was your parents going to the game?" And I was like, "I don't think so, no." And he said, "Well, make sure they go in." And then I realised about half an hour later that is the reason why he said that to me. wasn't that bright in the day?
Delay.
But so I don't remember too much about it. I remember coming on, and the biggest thing for me, I come on for Brian Robson, he was my hero. So. That was a big thing.
Big
for me,
shoots,
really.
big boots to fill.
It was, yeah.
What are you giggling about over there?
Sharp, what's your name?
Phil Sharp, I mean.
And Phil, obviously, you're a little bit younger than the guys. What was it like for your debut? Do you remember?
Well, I thought I was just turning up to help the kit man, to be honest with you. And then
we?
Next question, Rachel.
Does it take a little while to feel like you belong in the first team and not, like you say, there to help the kit man?
Sorry?
Does it take a little while for it to sink in that you do deserve your place and you belong in the first team rather than they're picking up the pants of the older players?
Yeah, I mean, you don't actually realise, really. You never think you're a regular in the team. You always think you've got to strive to be better and to keep your place in the team, because this club was always buying good players. We had, in my position, we had 2 or 3 really good players, international players. Every summer, the boss would bring more players in, so you never felt... What's up? Rachel, don't ask me
Brothers.
anymore, please.
And you all came through at slightly different times. As I say, you were the youngest. What made the academy so special at that time?
I'm not answering.
You're not answering. Gary, will you care to take that one?
I suppose when you look, the academy, especially at United, when you look back, obviously the Busby Babes, and then you're coming into sort of when we were growing up, you know, Whiteside, Hughes came through the academy, and these are some of the greatest players that Manchester United have ever had. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, Sir Bobby Charlton, people like that. So you think you're referring back to history all the time, and there's always that sort of, that feeling of the Blazer. The Blaze, I always think of the youth team, the Blaze, are sort of the Busby Babes wearing the United Blaze, and the first team now, and I still see them go to games and they have that blazer on, and the staff. I think that's the sort of history and the principles, values that should never change. So I think you always feel like that, even the Cliff's a special place because of that as well. Mm. So that was special. And also the coaches, we had Nobby Stiles, Eric Harrison, Brian Kidd. You know, brilliant coaches, great United greats, European Cup winners, World Cup winners. So no, it was a really special time.
And David, you had a slightly different experience from the rest of the guys. When you were a kid, you used to go to away games and you saw some of the first team players. So you had that experience of sitting on the bench with them. But what was it like when you made the transition? He's giggling. I can't control these guys. Come on, what are you laughing about?
He got special treatment when he was...
Special treatment? Does he get stick for it still?
He went to away games with the boss, yeah. Oh. I know.
You were the kit man.
Did that help you? Make you? I mean, did it? You know, you for so many years you were kind of a little bit more used to being around these players. Does that help in any way when you?
Not at all. It didn't help at all because you're always nervous of going into the change room. Like Giggsy said, you walk into the canteen and you're sat 2 tables away from Steve Bruce, Brian Robson, Giggsy as well. So it's one of those things that when you're a kid, you're such in awe of these players. And yeah, I used to go down to, I've always been a United fan, so to play for United was always my dream. But I just was going to these games because obviously I'd been asked by the club to go to the games, and then I'd turn up to try and see the players and get close to them. And the manager then just gave me the opportunity to sit on the bench one game. So that was nice. And
when you do get your opportunity, does it help to have like such sterling friends like these? If they've got your back in the ranks going through the same experiences. Yeah, that's the sarcastic tone you do.
Yeah, a little bit sarcastic. Yeah, I think so. It was obviously when you've got, when you grow up with these guys, and you can already feel, what it's like between us all. And it's always been that way, and we've been together for so many years and played together for so many years. We've won games, lost games. What are you laughing at? So, when you've grown up with these guys and you've, been successful in a club where we all dreamt of playing for, it makes it so special.
And you've all got kids now. So what's it like bringing them to Old Trafford? And do you see the experience through their eyes? And obviously you've got kids playing.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think when you bring the kids to Old Trafford and you look at them and you see the faces light up at the sides of the stadium and they're heroes on the pitch, and it brings you back to when you was a kid, and it's a really nice feeling. I was sat with Giggsy the other day with the 2 lads in the middle of us, and that's what it's about, because football, it's what everyone wants to be when they're a kid, or what certainly I wanted to be, and all the lads on here, and our kids are probably no different, until they get to a certain age and they realise, what it takes. But yeah, it's a massive part of certainly what I do with my kids. Is I love bringing them here and sharing the experiences and trying telling them that actually I used to play on that pitch, believe it or not. And so it's quite good. It's a really nice part of it.
And having them obviously grow up with you as their fathers, is it hard to keep them as hungry as you were that gave you that drive to have the success you did?
It is difficult, yeah. I used to get the 26 bus and jump over the fence at the Stretford end.
Your kids
They get driven in a nice car and sit in the director's box, which is a little bit different.
Do you make them clean your boots or anything like that? To give
No. But no, I mean, it's like Nicky said, it's great when you can take your kids to watch United, because we're all big United fans, and obviously our kids are. So when we were there last week, the Tottenham United Tottenham game, and it was brilliant. They loved it. So I still remember, when I was 9, 10, 11, come and watch United play, and it's great memories.
Yeah, good 3 points on the weekend against Spurs. Phil, can you talk us through what a typical match day is like? Do you have any superstitions or anything that you'd always do before a game?
I think we all have our routines and superstitions. Certain place in the dressing room that you would sit, favourite boot that you would wear, or a position in the line where you'd line up in the tunnel to go out. Even the movements, say before kick-off, where you line up or you go to a certain area of the pitch to warm up. We all have routines. I mean, I used to catch a lift in with Gary every day. We used to go the same route to Old Trafford every single Saturday when we used to meet up, because that was our route that we used to always win or... Won it? I thought it was anyway. And we left at the same time every week. You know, it was
Yeah.
just routines that made you feel comfortable.
I can see David. I can see you giggling all the way through that. I guess your routine was slightly different to Phil's.
Sorry?
I guess your
I was
routine
just
slightly
enjoying watching him struggle through that answer.
Nice having your mates around.
Yeah, the trainers are nice, aren't they?
All right, we'll take that heat off. Ryan, I mean, you've been in the dressing room earlier, as we mentioned. You've had so many big moments in that dressing room. You must have had so many dressing downs, dressings up from Alex Ferguson, so many trophy wins. I mean, even yourself, you were a manager for a short time. What's your favourite or best or most, something that comes back to your memory from the dressing rooms?
No, we were talking about before, not one particular game come to my mind. It was just the big wins, the Champions League games where we come in and we're all celebrating, or a couple of last-minute goals to win the game. That's when the changing room was really buzzing. That's when everyone was enjoying it. And also the flip side to that is when you used to get the telling off the manager. They're the ones that stick out in my mind a lot more than actually going and celebrating. But no, great times, because when you do win a big game, then you just can't wait to get back in the dressing room and celebrate with the lads.
And you said something similar, Paul. You said the games that you lose or the things that go wrong stick in your mind more than others. Do you think that's part of the winning mentality?
Yeah, probably. I'd say there's probably 2 or 3 games that probably stick out in my mind. They're not bad experiences, but really good experiences. I think the Liverpool game in the FA Cup, where we scored 2 goals in the last, I think it was 2 or 3 minutes. I think the Arsenal game, which I said before, I think they were, they had to win the game or draw the game to go on a 50 match winning streak, and we managed to stop that. And the Barcelona semi-final game, which was so tight against a great Barcelona team, and we went on to have a great chance of winning the Champions League, and we managed to do that.
And being local lads and lifelong Reds, do the games that you mentioned, like the Liverpool game, the Arsenal game, do you think they have more resonance for you lot than possibly players that come in, or is it still there? Is it still as fierce as ever?
I think we was quite lucky with the lads that came in, especially in our time. We had a little Scandinavian group. We had a couple of French lads come in, but what they all did, which was important, was they come in and bought into the club straight away, bought into the city straight away. The families got into the city. They went out to restaurants and got to really know the culture of Manchester. But then we had a group of us as well that maybe helped them do that a little bit as well. And it was quite important that they knew what it was like, the Man United Liverpool game was like, and they knew that it weren't just a game, it was more than a game, because Monday morning people going to work and they're giving each other stick, and you couldn't get beat in them games. Obviously you did sometimes, it's football, you do, but you have to go in there with a mindset that this is more than a football match, and it was up to the manager to try and calm us down and say, just go out there and play it as a normal game, but deep down you knew in your belly that it's for ourselves on the pitch and the fans and the city itself, it was more than just a football game. And we had really good squad members, really good players that come in from all over the world and all over the country, and they bought into that straight away, which was credit to them, really.
And Paul, it took you a little bit longer to break into the first team. It took you a little bit longer to get bigger physically. Did you have any? Can't
That's what I say, Rachel.
Obviously, you're there
Only
now.
time for 4 years. Obviously, you're there now.
During your playing days, was there any piece of advice or anything that a senior player?
Was any what, sorry?
Any bit of advice that a senior player or Sir Alex or member of the coaching team said to you that's
Lose a bit of weight, yeah. Yeah, like you said, I was a bit later than the rest of them. A little bit smaller, a little bit less developed, I suppose, and it took me a while. What is he laughing at?
I'm just happy to be here.
I forgot what I was saying.
any bits of advice from anybody that kind of helped you along the way?
No, not really. I can't really remember any.
Do you impart the same kind of wisdom to the youth that are around at the moment?
No.
Nikki, you're more of a sharp tongue. What was
Go
it?
on, mate.
And me.
What was it about the group of the 6 of you? Do you think that made you so special? That made you gel so well?
I think it was a case of put Ryan out of it for a minute because he was a first team player and we was coming in. But I think 1 week he'd be the superstar and he'd take all the pressure and he'd be in the paper and he'd be on the back page saying he's the next big thing, and then the next week it'd be him, and then it'd be him, and then it'd be him. Once in a blue moon, it might be me. But no, that's what it was. It was shared between us, and Ryan probably answers a bit better, but when you're coming through on your own, I can imagine it being really, really hard for a lad at Man United, because it's not a normal club, it's the biggest club in the world. The spotlight's on you even more so now for Marcus and people like that. Yep. So we was really fortunate that we come through as a group, not only as a group that we're playing for the biggest team in the world, but we come through as a group that knew each other, or certainly about each other from the age of 12, 13, and ended up being really, really good mates in an environment that nowadays looks pathetic, if you think. Such a small training ground compared to the giant ones that they have now. Really humble. But them times from 16 to probably to 22, 23 was the best time. It wasn't the time when you can go and buy any car you want, or go and buy a house that you want, or go and shopping and spend whatever money you want. It was when you were on £29.50, getting the bus into Manchester and a bus to Salford was certainly for me the best time of my career. And I think that's what galvanised us and kept us together and helped us, like obviously Beck's had a bad time at the World Cup, comes back to his second family, if you like, and we help him through it. And then I'd have a bad time, we'd all stick together. And I think that was the important part. The environment was small and tight, and the limelight got shared between us all.
Do you think there is more pressure on the young English players, especially now?
I think the press and the spotlight of social media and everything, it's miles more pressure for them, yeah. And also, Manchester's got a lot bigger. When we was kids, we used to go out on a Tuesday night if we didn't have a game, and you could go out and you could have a good time, and you wouldn't be all over the papers doing things and making it out like you was doing something wrong, because at the end of the day, you're young lads, and if you want to go out and have a bit of fun, you can do it at the right times, and we certainly did that. But I think it's unfortunate now that the kids can't do that. They're just going to, they can't do it, as simple as that.
Yeah. It's not 1992 anymore, but you are wearing the garb from 1992. Ryan, is this one of your favourite strips? Does it bring back good memories?
Brings back good memories for me. This was the kit that I wore my first trophy in the League Cup against Notts Forest in '92. So particularly good memories. But it's strange because I think if you'd have looked at this 10 years ago, people would have, well, that's horrible. But then it's sort of come back, and it's real. I think we look good, do you not? No, and I think it looks real. You know, it's come back, real retro look. So no, this particular top is special for me. Does
it feel strange being able to look back on your career now and reminisce? Because you obviously, as young kids, you get told the heritage and the history, and it's always in the past. And now, talking about your legacy as a player, is it strange that you're kind of not with the pipe and slippers, but you are kind of, we've got some 8-month-old babies now that will have to be told about you guys in the future, and they will.
You know how to make us feel really good, Rachel. I
get that a lot.
What's the question?
Sorry. Does it feel strange that you can look back at it now?
It's strange, but it's also nice because we've had our time, we've had our day. Is that you, Phil? That's not over there. It's strange. It is strange, but it's also really, it's a real nice compliment. And to walk in here, for me, and see fans that still like you from all that time, it's special. It makes you feel nice, and because our time's gone and we've moved on. There's other players that have got the limelight, and rightly so. But it's strange, but also it's really nice that we can still come along as a group and people turn out to see us.
And none of you have lost your cheeky streak, quite clearly. Who used to get you as a group or into the most trouble back in the day?
That end.
That end.
That end down.
I'll tell you, to be honest with you, the worst one's the quietest one, if I'm honest with you. He's the one that used to get away with it all the time, and he was always, Scholesy wouldn't do that. And, so yeah, I'd say Paul was the one that used to get away with it. Ryan used to get caught all the time, like me. Scholes used to get away with everything.
David, was there anyone in the dressing room that you would particularly want to or particularly not want to sit next to or near, or I won't mention teapots?
No, I can't. Maisie, probably. He was the loudest, and he would do things that you kind of were very unexpected. So Maisie was definitely one of the ones that you wouldn't really want to sit next to, even though he made you laugh when you're doing it to other people. Yeah.
And obviously you've won so much as a group, but the original Youth Cup that you won, is that still one of your most treasured memories?
For me, that's, we just answered a question down on the field that you know, our favourite memories of obviously playing in the stadium. And, you know, there are so many because we were very fortunate that we, you know, were very successful, won so many trophies and obviously played here for the amount of years that we did. But one of my most favourite memories is the Youth Cup final. You know, to be able to play in front of the amount of fans that turned up that evening, knowing that the first team were there, the managers was there, and it was such a special moment for us because we'd obviously been so successful as a youth team. To then play at Old Trafford and win the Youth Cup was a special moment for us. But then to obviously be in the changing room and have the first team players in there, players that we looked up to, that was even more special. And it just kind of showed really how this club is a real family.
And going back to that time, that was the first major cup. I think it was possibly the first time since the Busby Babes that we'd won that. Did you ever discuss amongst yourselves? I mean, the success that you had is pretty unimaginable. Did you ever have an ambition or an idea or what you could go on to win?
I think, like Gary said, you know, this club has got such great history with bringing youth players through, and Sir Matt Busby, you know, when he, you know, had the success that obviously bringing young players through and the success of winning the European Cup and things like that, and the players that came through, and obviously the manager came in and you know, took that on for us. It was a special time, and we were all well aware of that. But you know, when you ask the question about do you ever feel as if you should be in the team, that's what we was kind of brought up to know, that don't ever get too comfortable because there's always young players coming up ready to replace you, and the manager was great at that. You know, he was always, you know, keeping us on our toes, and that's what kind of made us feel kind of nervous, special, and obviously prepared to also always give everything that we had, and that's the way we always felt about obviously our careers.
And I believe in the youth system, you were told when you started that there's a 1% chance of you getting through as an academy youth to the first team, but obviously the 6 of you have done that. Gary, do you think that's ever going to be possible again?
I hope so. I mean, I think this is the type of club that could do it. I think it'd be very difficult. But I think, you see the England 17s have won a trophy this week. I think when you win trophies when you're in the youth stage, it gives you belief. And with belief as a young person, nothing can stop you, I think. That's, you know, you just give a young person confidence and belief and give them opportunity, and they'll do anything for you, and they'll run through brick walls. And I think that this is the type of club that could achieve that, whether it's 5 or 6 or 3 or 4. There is a chance it could happen again, but it's difficult. You need the pressures on managers, the pressures on the owners to win the league or stay in the league, the monetary value. So the managers then think, well, do I give a young person a chance? Do I cope with maybe mistakes that a young person will make, or do I go with the experienced lad? And that's where Sir Alex had courage. You think about the players that he got rid of to make way for us. They were some of the best players this club's ever had. But then he had belief, and he gave us belief. So I say, hope it happens, but it'll be difficult.
And I guess, Nicky, you're probably more qualified than most to talk about that at the moment.
Yeah, well, if you look at the squad now, there's probably 5 or 6 from the youth: Jesse, Marcus, Scott McTominay, Axel, Twanzarbi. If you put in a couple of lads that are out on loan, there's 5 or 6 there now. That are in and around the first team now. But having to get 5 or 6 from the same team is going to be very difficult in modern football. Hope it happens. Gary's dead right, it can happen because we've got a hell of a lot of talent. But if it does happen, it'll be a brave man to go and put 6 lads into a first team. In modern day football, where you can be sacked in 3 months if you don't get the right results. So whether it happens again, it'd have to be the right board, the right manager and the right club, and other than probably us, I could only probably think of Tottenham that would do that as well at the minute, but you never know. You hope so, and my job is to try and do that and try and get players up to the first team for the manager to go and win things.
And what's it like for you when one of your young lads gets called up into the first team, where you think, you know, obviously you must be proud of them, but you're thinking, I wish I could have them in my squad?
No, not really. No, I think it's the ambition of the club is always to push them and challenge them, and whether it's a 12-year-old boy playing in under 14s or a 14 to 16 and so on, you've always got to push them because no one wants to be in a comfort zone. You've got to bring them back to their own age group every now and again and play them in the youth team or the reserves and put them in and give them a taste. But in general, the club's always been about pushing players and making them fulfil their potential. And I think when a player gets taken up to the first team, whether it was when Ryan was in charge or the manager now, it's a massive thing for the club. It's a massive thing for everybody. Because some of these lads that are playing now have been here since he was 7. So Marcus has probably had about 15 different coaches that have had a part of that development. So every single one of them have been a part of where he is now. So it's massive for a lot of people in the club. So when that happens, it's really proud time for everybody, really.
And obviously you're doing coaching here. Ryan, you were manager for, was it 4 games? How did you use your experience under Sir Alex with such good coaches into your roles there?
No, I think, especially when I was manager, we had a bad result against Sunderland, got beat, and then I just thought, I'm not having that. You didn't perform, so I'm going to bring in some players who will perform. And it happened to be James Wilson, who went on to score a couple of goals. But that's just the mentality of the club, really. I think that's the mentality of the history of the club. You know, you always give young players a chance. Then it's up to them to take that chance. They've all got ability, but you never know what they're going to be like once they get on that pitch in the first team. Some sink, but most of the time they flourish because that's where they want to be. That's why they become footballers. They want to be in that first team, and it's the easy bit getting there. The hardest bit is staying.
And Gary, Phil, Paul, you're obviously all pundits now. What is it like watching a Man United team now? What is it like not being able to play? Do you wish you could go down there and tell them what to do? Or?
It's not nice being a pundit watching a United game, because obviously you dread the fact that if United lose and you've got to go on television and you've got to speak as a neutral about the team that you actually don't want to criticise sometimes. Like last week when they got beat off Huddersfield and Jose questioned the desire and the attitude, you've got to go on and actually back up that with and criticise some of the team. So that's not nice. I always try and stay away from particularly Manchester United games, because I feel as if you can't be as neutral, because ultimately I love this football club. So it's difficult being a pundit. I don't enjoy watching United games as a pundit because it puts you in a situation where you might have to maybe speak bad about one of your players that in part of your team.
And obviously now we've got a World Cup winner in our squad, and Angel Gomez and a few other players. What is it like being a part of the England setup? Does that help you as a Manchester United player, or is it difficult to balance?
I think as soon as you play for United, with respect to England, you normally play for England. I mean, something's going wrong if you're playing for United and you're not playing for England, really. I can't think of any situation. I don't know if I can think of players who were English, because the reality of it is there aren't many English players playing for top 4/6 clubs. That's a big problem. I was England for 4 years, and we were picking players continuously who were subs all the time because they weren't getting the chance, they weren't getting in the team, but you were left with no other option. I think Gareth Southgate's mentioned it this week. So I think the young English team's winning. We were lucky enough to win the England under-18s when we were younger, and that was really good for us. And obviously a lot of us went on to play for England. And I think with these lads now, I hope they get the same opportunity. I hope there are owners of football clubs, managers of football clubs who've got the guts to put them in and give them a chance, because they will do well. It's a fact, they will do well, but it's just whether they'll get the chance.
And we've just got a couple of minutes left with you now. So if I could just ask each of you to tell us your favourite memory over the 25-odd years that you played at United. David?
Obviously there were so many, but I would have to say, those 10 days of, the treble, if we could ever go back to a time, it would be that, because it was so special to be able to go from one to the other and win all three in totally different ways. Obviously beating Tottenham last day of the season, pressurised situation, and we end up winning that, and then going on to obviously the FA Cup, beating Newcastle the way we did, which was the easier out of the 3 games, and then going, to the Nou Camp and winning there the way we did. It was a special 10 days, so I'd have to say that.
I would say the same. I try and give you a different answer, but I can't.
Do you remember much about those days?
I do remember little bits, little snippets, little things that happened. I remember Tottenham scoring the goal and feeling like it was yesterday, and thinking, oh no. I remember the last few minutes hanging on and thinking, oh, if we can see the goal here, we've lost the league. The semi-final against Arsenal was the most special game I've ever played in, so I could bring that in as well, actually, and say that game was by far the best game of football I've ever played in. It was just incredible. Last ever semi-final replay. And what a way to have one. It's just probably the best game of football. A pitch invasion at the end, tens of thousands of United fans on the pitch, winning in extra time with an half all-right goal.
Not taking my top off, that.
Do you regret that?
Do you?
I'm not here to answer the questions, Ryan. I'm sure David did, because he scored the goal. You stole all the limelight. So we'll take that as your favourite moment then, Ryan. Phil,
Well,
anything different from that
No,
historic treble?
Mine's actually an individual moment, and it was in the semi-final when Peter Schmeichel saved that penalty because I'd just given the penalty away. It was and
How relieved were you?
I honestly thought my Manchester United career was over at that moment. It was a last minute. I was tired. I played really well in the game as well. And I literally just collapsed on the floor, brought down Ray Parlour, and thought, that's it. That's it.
What did you say to
It's been a
Schmeichel?
good career, and then he saved it, and I owe him everything.
Did you buy him a pint?
Sorry?
Did you buy him a pint?
I did a bit more than that.
Oh.
Did a bit more than that.
2 pints. 2 pints.
Yeah.
Right.
Champagne.
Paul?
Yeah, the same as these. Like them 10 days were special. Obviously, the full season leads up to that, but I think, as you're talking special times, the Tottenham game, of course, first, and then a Newcastle game. But Ryan's goal in the semi-final, I think that was the highlight of the season. I'm not sure why he didn't square it to me. But no, that's definitely the highlight, and obviously the lads going on to win the game in Barcelona as well, just to watch that and be a part of that and experience that was special.
Did it ever cross your mind to pass it?
No.
Any regrets?
No. I do have it. And I only found out about 6 months ago. If you watch it, when I'm taking my top off, Scholesy goes to take his top off. If he would have done that, that would have got me out of jail.
Paul, any regrets that you didn't?
No, I'd actually shaved my chest as well.
Nikki, have you ever felt like taking your top off?
Ooh.
Or any other memories? Away from it.
It'd be foolish to not say the same as the lads, the memory, but one that sticks in my mind was everyone talks about how much success we had in winning, but the first year we went in, we lost the league against West Ham on the Saturday and then lost the FA Cup against Everton a week later. I remember sitting on the pitch thinking, don't cry because my dad will kill me if I cry. But I can't cry at football. I was holding it in thinking, and the manager walked past me and tapped me on the head and just went, don't let this happen again. And that was like stuck in my head then. It was a case of, I don't ever feel like this again and I want to go on to win things. And I think that was a really important message certainly from him, and I'm sure our lads didn't want to ever feel like that week again. It wasn't a good week. So apart from the highlight was obviously what the lads are saying, that 10 days, but that was a real wake-up call for me.
And Ryan, finally?
No, it's the same. I mean, the best feeling I've ever had on a football pitch is when the final whistle went in the new camp, and I actually did cry. And it's the only time I have cried on a football pitch because the emotions just took over. But that's the best moment I've ever had on a football pitch.
Class of 92, thank you very much. That was fascinating. I think you're free to go, yeah. Thank you very much.